Why don't you speak to your parents? When I was 9 years old, I found out my mom had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctor said she had maybe 6 months left. I'll never forget how my dad broke down crying in the hospital hallway and promised he'd make her remaining time perfect. I'm going to be the husband and father you both deserve, he sobbed. No more business trips, no more missed dinners. He quit his weekend golf league, canceled his monthly poker nights, and swore he'd be by her side every single day. During those first few weeks, he actually kept his word. He'd wake up early to bring her breakfast in bed with fresh flowers from the garden. Good morning, beautiful, he'd say, kissing her forehead. He'd drive her to every chemo appointment, holding her hand in the waiting room. He spent hours researching experimental treatments online. For the first time in years, I started thinking maybe we'd finally become the close family I'd always wanted. His behavior shifted around week 4. Dad began taking these long work calls that required him to step outside or go sit in his car for privacy. He'd come back smelling like perfume and making excuses about meeting with important clients. When I asked him about it, he'd ruffle my hair and say grown-up business was complicated. He started missing mom's doctor appointments because of sudden emergencies at the office. I'd watch mom's face fall when she realized she'd have to go to another round of chemo alone. It's okay, mommy, I'd say, seeing her trying not to cry. I'll skip school and come with you. 3 months in, Dad had perfected his deception. He'd leave every morning claiming he was going to work, but I started noticing he was always dressed too nicely and wearing cologne, even though the smell made mom sick. Mom was getting weaker and spending most days in bed, throwing up and needing help with everything. I learned how to heat up soup, refill her water bottles, and help her to the bathroom when she was too dizzy to walk alone. I'm sorry you have to see me like this, baby, she'd whisper, tears streaming down her cheeks. Dad would come home around dinner time acting cheerful, but I could see the lipstick stains on his collar. Everything exploded one night when mom had to be rushed to the emergency room. She was vomiting blood and barely conscious. Mommy, please don't leave me, I sobbed as I called 911. I rode in the ambulance holding her trembling hand while she whispered that she was scared. At the hospital, I sat in the waiting room for 4 hours while doctors ran tests. When nurses asked where my father was, I lied and said he was on his way from a business trip. Dad finally showed up at 3 a.m. with his shirt wrinkled and his hair messy, claiming his phone had died. But when he pulled it out, I could see he'd ignored 17 missed calls from me. Dad, I said quietly, I needed you. Mom needed you. Where were you really? But I knew. Even as a kid, I knew. From that hospital visit forward, I took over as mom's primary caregiver. I researched her medications online and set up a schedule to make sure she took everything on time. I learned how to help her shower when she was too weak to stand, and I'd sleep on the floor next to her bed so I could hear if she needed anything during the night. You're such a brave little man, she'd whisper when I'd help her with her pills. Dad started asking me to handle things like calling the insurance company or scheduling her appointments because he said I was so good at managing details. He'd praise me for being mature for my age while he disappeared. What made me furious was watching everyone celebrate Dad as this amazing husband. At mom's birthday party, which was probably going to be her last, he gave this tearful speech about how much he loved her and how their marriage was the most important thing in his life. This woman is my everything, he sobbed, holding her frail hand. All the relatives hugged him and said what a devoted husband he was. You're so lucky to have him, my aunt whispered to mom. I stood there knowing he'd been texting another woman during mom's birthday dinner and that I was the one who'd helped her get dressed and do her makeup so she could feel pretty. A week later, eventually decided he needed a vacation to clear his head and recharge, and I knew it was really to be with whoever he was seeing. I called my uncle and asked if I could live with him. I can't do this anymore, I cried into the phone. I'm just a kid and I'm so tired. When I told my parents I was leaving, Dad had the nerve to say I was abandoning mom when she needed me most. How can you be so selfish, he yelled. I looked him in the eye and said, I'm not the one abandoning her, you are. Mom held my hand and whispered, it's okay, baby. Go live with Uncle Pete. You deserve to be a kid again. Mom died 2 months later and Dad brought his girlfriend to the funeral. When he called me crying 6 months after that, asking me to help him process his grief, I told him he taught me that commitments don't matter when things get difficult.